Okay, so it seems like recently there's been a little bit of a situation going on with Camila. Now, essentially, I've avoided, talking about this on a video because I thought it was a little bit too sensitive to kind of, talk about, especially with, how, badly it's affected Camila and all this kind of stuff. But if you didn't know, a lot of people have been talking about it, the fact that she had multiple family members obviously pass away due to a lot of the stuff that's been going on over in like Lebanon with the whole like Israel strikes and things like that. Now, obviously, it's absolutely terrible, and obviously she was very sad about it. She went on stream and talked about it. Was very emotional about it. And again, as I said, I didn't really want to make a video on it because it felt weird, especially with this being such a heavy topic for her, right? But it seems like obviously there's been a little bit of a, I guess, a resurgence of clips and things, because this happened the other day, by the way. I think only people are starting to pick up on it now. I think that, people are starting to comment on it. It's starting to get into more mainstream spaces now. And people are starting to comment on Camila's voice and her as a person, rather than obviously the tragic event that obviously happened, right? And of course, Camila responded to this as there was a post put up by RT.com, who, if you don't know, are the Russian state news, whatever you call it, and have been for quite a bit, right? I'm pretty sure they're blocked in the UK as well. So again, that tells you a lot, right? But essentially they say, and again, it is very insensitive how they label this, right? Saying, VTuber says bombs killed her family in Lebanon, breaks down live. And obviously they put the clip of her talking about it. And I think obviously, yeah, it's very insensitive the way that they put it, but obviously they don't care. They're a, news company or whatever. They don't care about, obviously, a lot of the people that are affected by this, right? And of course, Camila then responded to this tweet saying, "We live in a world where some people are more focused on my voice than the situation at hand." And as she follows up by saying, "This is my career, and I'm allowed to share tragic events with the people I see every day, so they understand why I'm not performing at my best. Empathy is not hard. I haven't done anything to you personally for you to be cruel with your words." And yeah, I mean, a lot of people underneath this post, now of course it has been flooded with support now from a lot of VTuber fans and stuff like that. But of course, there's been a lot of people that have been talking about, her voice and things like that, and saying, like essentially just kind of not even just ignoring the fact that, everything that has happened to her family and whatnot, and instead are just focusing on her voice and the fact that she's a VTuber, which I think is crazy, right? And obviously, tons of people like supporting her and saying like the replies have been disgusting to see, which they have been. You're saying, "Damn, Twitter users cold AF," saying, "Don't know who she is, but I'll be praying for her." And again, there's been some positive responses, right? But if you just keep scrolling down, of course, to some of the other, comments that have been down here, because they've been kind of, I guess, pushed down a little bit. They say, "Heartbreaking she wouldn't have to break down from the internet," saying, "Some people need to know that coping mechanisms exist." And again, it keeps on going. Russian state media posting about families dying. How ironic. I mean, yeah. Saying, that people that laugh at the idea of Nux and his families being bombed should find this hilarious, right? Which again, lots of people were trying to, talk about a lot of the politics behind it. But, here it is saying, "Okay, I'm sorry for her, but bro, could we turn the VTuber stuff off for this?" Which again, I think this is just a lot of people that just don't, they don't understand how VTubers work or whatever. They don't just turn it off whenever something like bad happens, bad or good. They always use their VTuber model. They don't show their face. That is the whole point of being a VTuber, right? So I can't imagine having someone tell me about my death publicly on the internet from a VTuber that won't break character and probably monopolizing it with pity bucks. Which again, I think is crazy, right? Some people are so, horrible in how they've, talked about this, right? Saying, "How am I supposed to take this seriously with broken kawaii English and a giant waving tail," whatever it is in the background? I feel so much for this actual person and the horrors that they've been forced to endure, but maybe drop the act when you're discussing murdered family members. And again, I think it's one of these situations where, like, it's none of your business in how, she kind of acts around it, right? She's very clearly sad in the clip. She's very clearly upset by what has gone on. But again, I think it's crazy that some people are just focusing on the fact that she has a VTuber model. She's not going to go and turn the VTuber model off because something bad has happened to her, right? That's just not how it works. They don't just go, "Okay, I'm just going to give up this private persona that I built myself up for multiple years because some of my family members died," right? Nobody's doing that, right? Like, are you going to go ahead and quit your job because, multiple of your family members died? No. It's like that. It's like me asking you to quit your job, Like right now, go quit your job right now because some of your family members died, right? Obviously, it sucks and stuff, but it doesn't mean you quit your job. Yeah, maybe you take a week break or something. You talk to them, say, hey, can I have some time off? I've had some pretty bad stuff that has gone on. But you don't go, oh, I'm gonna go quit because of that. I mean, some people do. Some people obviously have, different ways they deal with things. But you shouldn't be telling somebody else to drop the act, right? Saying the VTuber voice, the chat is going crazy. There's dancing anime girl sub notification, all by the happy VTuber model spazzes out to her crying. Now that's what I call dystopian. Which again, I just think is horrible. The amount of things like this. People doing that, saying they saw this and said we're gonna stay here in Lebanon. They said I feel sorry for her, but this is attention-seeking behavior. No need to share such a sensitive topic with the world. Again, it is like 100% her own choice to do that. It is 100% her choice to share with her chat, what she wants, and of course it's going to affect her. Do you think that, if anything, a lot of content creators are very, if they're transparent about how they display things and what's going on in their life, people are more appreciative towards that because, she could have, as they said, she could have just gone and disappeared for like a week or two, and nobody knows what has actually happened. But instead, she's obviously using it as a time to make it very aware that this stuff is going on in the world, right? And it's affecting a lot of people, including her, directly affecting her. And I think that is something that obviously she has chosen to do. And I think that's fair enough, right? I don't think you should call her attention seeking for that because she's not attention seeking. She's going through something pretty horrible and she's sharing it with, a lot of the people who, quite frankly, keep her going through a lot of this kind of stuff, right? And, a lot of people, whenever it comes to streamers and VTubers, their chat is one of the things that keeps them going whenever it comes to, bad situations, whether it's personal, whether it's career, either one, right? People turn to the chat, and you could see that by some of the responses that she got on her stream, which I will cover in a separate video. I already had a video about this coming out, but obviously this, I was talking about the positive side, the support that she's been getting. So hopefully that will be a bit of a contrast for tomorrow, right? But it is pretty disgusting to see these kind of comments, right? People judging her over her voice and over, her VTuber model, and kind of focusing on that rather than focusing the real issue at hand, and focusing on the actual kind of tragedy that has happened. And instead they're going, oh, why you got a VTuber model on? It doesn't really matter, right? It's like someone getting angry over, say if she did this IRL and was wearing a funny shirt, right? It's like someone doing that. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day. People say, why is she still putting on a voice, anime voice after her family just died? Saying condolences, but drop the lolly voice next time you announce the death of a loved one, maybe. Which again, it's not like she's doing this big grand like statement either, right? She's literally just informing her chat on what is actually going on. She's not the one that is announcing it to the rest of her family. Of course, they've been, through that, and they've been discussing that, themselves privately. And again, I don't think it is one of these things where it's like, okay, time to drop everything. I'm going to go and stream as a full face cam, Twitch streamer, and have no notifications on or whatsoever as I talk to my chat about what's going on. No, that's just not how it works. It's a job at the end of the day as well. And, you can continue to do it how you want to, right? It's not, it's not up to anybody else to decide how you want to talk about it. And if you want to talk about it that way, by the way, you can do if you really want to. But again, I don't think people should be saying, oh, you should be doing this because, again, as I said, it's her family. She can do whatever the hell she wants, right? People say, imagine streaming about it because you want the attention. And obviously, if your family got bombed by Jews, why still use the fake anime voice? Which, again, I just think is crazy, right? And I think that's the main thing that has obviously concerned a lot of people, and Camila, of course, is not the actual post from RT themselves, which I think, is pretty interesting from them, their point of view and also how they've phrased it. But I think she's more so not so happy with the kind of responses and the replies that people are talking about whenever it comes to her voice and her VTuber model when, as I said, it's her own, it's her own struggle, it's her own thing. She can do whatever the hell she wants. She can express it however she wants, and a lot of people express things differently in terms of, whatever kind of talents they have, whether it is just speaking on stream like this, or some people like to write, some people like to draw, some people like to do lots of things to express how they feel about this kind of stuff. But of course, apparently the one with the VTuber model is the weird one, and you shouldn't be doing that, which again I think is stupid. Who are you to tell someone how they can talk about their own personal issues and stuff that is going on, and the kind of tragic stuff that has been going on, right? You're saying the moment I saw these accounts post you, I predicted the replies. People have zero empathy whatsoever towards streamers, especially if you're a VTuber. They label you with all kinds of things instead of actually focusing on the topic that's being spoken of. Screw them all, genuinely. Saying this, they say lots of strength and encouragement. I can understand the loss, but why the blank links immediately after? Again, it doesn't matter, right? And, you know, obviously people saying, oh, why are you posting your fansly or whatever after, you know, all of this kind of stuff has gone on. Like, what, you wanted to just like sit there and cry for like the next like 3 weeks or for the rest of her career and never do anything, right? Like, is that what you really want? Like, seriously, like, obviously she's trying to move on from, you know, obviously whatever's going on, because sometimes thinking about it negatively and, you know, just going in circles about it negatively can obviously lead to you thinking even more negatively, right? And I think moving on and just doing what you're usually doing, including stuff like fansly, if they really want to, that's entirely her choice, right? She's allowed to do that, and I don't think anybody should really be, you know, questioning that, right? People say she didn't have a family in Lebanon, and yes, she's lying. People are saying she's lying, by the way, right? I think that's insane. We've always known that she's had some like Lebanese kind of ancestry and stuff like that, and that's why people thought about that originally whenever she posted a tweet a while back saying that obviously some of her family members had passed away, and people were already kind of speculating that it was that, and then she obviously confirmed it later on. Who said she starts to work, man, and again, you know, she still does have to work, right? And again, I think it is crazy that some people are criticizing her for that, and hopefully you know, things get better, right? Because it does suck that, you know, she's had to respond to this and that she's had so much backlash over something that has already been so pretty terrible. I say pretty terrible, so terrible for her, you know, already, right? And that now she's got this on top of it. It's like, wow, that really helps, guys. Thanks. Like, again, it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, that is essentially all there is for this situation. So again, obviously I'll keep you guys up to date if anything else does come from that. I don't think it will. It just seems like a lot of people hating over on Twitter, just because she has a different voice and a VTuber model. Imagine that. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.